region in the near future. And if we accept that, if we also accept that climate change is indeed an issue, and climate change is indeed urgent and has to be urgently addressed in our region, we've got to begin to think about how we can change our lives in order to be living more sustainably and more in harmony with our environment. Economic trade models and all the other issues will be affected by the issue of climate change. And there is no doubt, there is no question in our mind that climate change will affect how we live and how we look at things in the very near future. And so, if we accept that, then we as churches, as Pacific Conference of Churches and the church leaders, we need to begin to think in the future and to see how can we prepare our people and our churches and our communities to be able to be more resilient in the future, both economically and ecologically, towards or in our societies and in our future, in the Pacific. So, we as churches should begin to reflect proactively, should begin to look at the future of our people, the future of our communities, and to see what types of policies we can promote, what types of issues we can support, so that in the future we will still have our Pacific region. At the way we're going and at the rate we're going, we will lose our Pacific region in no more than 2 or maybe 3 generations.
The issue of globalization and trade casts a very wide net, covering poverty, wealth and ecological justice. One may ask how this is relevant. In the book Poverty, Wealth and Ecological Justice, Ecumenical Perspective from Latin America and the Caribbean, Dr. Robert Rogate from the World Council of Churches asked the question, why is the world very rich, but half of the global population poor? Why is majority of Latin America and the Caribbean people mired in poverty, even though the continent and the Caribbean are rich in natural resources? How can we answer these questions from our own Pacific perspective?
I think the one key message we need to be sending across is that if you look at the types of challenges that we're facing in the region, whether it's climate change or HIV and AIDS or poverty, if you look at the key root problem, it comes down to this economic model that's being pushed on the region. It's a model that tends to put market over and above communities and people. And I think that's a key message and challenge that the churches have to recognize, that at the heart of a lot of the challenges that the region face, it comes down to this economic model. That's not an appropriate model for the Pacific, and it will have significant impact in terms of our community aspirations, our cultural, social dynamics that we hold dear as Pacific Islanders. And I think that's a key message, that we have to understand that at the root cause of all of this problem is this economic model.
In the introduction of his book, Rethinking Globalization, Martin Core states that globalization has become the defining process of the present age. While the opportunities and benefits of this process have been stressed by its proponents and supporters, recently there has been increasing disillusionment amongst many policymakers in the South. Analysts and academics, as well as the community of non-government organizations in both the South and the North. What now, and where to from here? What can we do as a community of faith in the region?
If we focus specifically on the churches, then the starting point should actually be for churches to be open to rethinking and re-articulating the kinds of theologies that churches have. What I would like to ask the churches is to open up. We really need to look at these issues. You see, the context of mission in the Pacific has moved on. It has changed so much. I hope that our churches in the Pacific open up and become seriously engaged and to be very, very proactive in addressing economic, ecological issues that threaten the very, very people who are members of these churches.
And so the question continues. In what ways are poverty and wealth linked? How are these two aspects of the same coin affecting our ecology negatively, and how are they related to just peace? What do the spirituality of indigenous people and the perspectives of women and youths inform us about these issues in the Pacifica from our Whenua, Ovanua and Moana context? Can it be that international globalization and trade, poverty, wealth and ecological justice are some of the many reasons why migrations is relevant to the people of the Pacific nowadays? We'll allow you to answer all these questions from your very own island perspective. From our moderator, Bishop Apimeleki Ngiliho, our General Secretary, Mr. Felo Akitautevi, and from everyone here at the PCC Secretariat in Suva, Fiji, we wish all our member churches in the region well and God's blessings in your entire ministry work. I leave you with yet another question. As the peaceful and loving ecumenical family in the Pacific, what can we do together on the issue of economic globalization and trade, poverty, wealth, and ecological justice, with a reminder from Jesus himself found in John 13:34, "A new commandment I give you, love one another as I have loved you." So you must love one another. Emta sol, and be blessed. Thank you, Tomas. Nisate mo tomanda.